How did Paul George get better? Following the cleaning of the wounds on his legs, his surgeon placed a titanium rod inside his tibia. The tibia is an extremely robust bone, but this strength only extends to the outside of the bone. A famous professional athlete is brutally injured, the bone visibly poking through the flesh, a broken leg so horrible that spectators, myself included, could not even bear to see the devastation. Furthermore, this was not a professional sportsman. This was a star who was actually competing at the time for the USA basketball team as they got ready for the Olympics and the World Cup. A participant in the NBA dunk contest, two-time All-Star, All-NBA, first-team, All-Defensive, team player and perhaps the best two-way player in the NBA on par with LeBron James, this athlete was among the finest in the world. The USA basketball team was practicing last summer in anticipation of its showcase in Las Vegas. Paul George was the Indiana Pacers representative. Because it's essentially an all-star game in the middle of summer, the Vegas game is always exciting. Everything was going great in the game until Paul George and James Harden started breaking quickly. George was hard hit and Harden was trying to change the shot. George suffered a terrible leg break as he struck the goal's protective padding. It was difficult for anyone to gaze upon. The guys on the floor were clearly disturbed and they understood that George would be sidelined for an extended amount of time. According to the sources, George shattered his leg and would not play in the 2014-2015 season. Because the Pacers were vying for the final Eastern playoff slot, he was eligible to return for the final 8 games. George displayed glimmers of his former personality, but he did not yet exude confidence in his leg. He's playing as though he never fractured his leg this season. George has returned and he has never looked better. George's leg injuries had a significant mental development impact on him. Such a catastrophic injury allows a player to focus intently on their game during the recuperation process. The players become appreciative of the chance to play once more as a result. They are driven to show the other teams in the league that they have returned and are stronger than before. George was able to concentrate on certain areas of his game and his plan to prevent more injuries to his leg. In fact, George appears more athletic than he did before the leg injury. He was finishing at a high rate and attacking the rim without holding back, even in the preseason. It was evident that he was back in a preseason game against Chicago, when he dunked from almost the free throw line. George's ability to score on his own is one of the biggest improvements in his game. This season he is making a lot of three-pointers. Before the injury, George's three-point shooting average was mediocre, but he can easily make 3 or 4 in a game now. Leading the Indiana Pacers, George has truly demonstrated growth as a leader. His teammates are allowing him to lead the way because they understand how difficult it was for him to sit out. The Pacers had low expectations heading into the season. They didn't have to win to go to the playoffs. They are currently among the top seeds in the Eastern Conference with a record of 16-9. The Pacers' record is even more remarkable considering that the East is now a touch deeper than the Western Conference. George scores 26.9 points a game, good for 5th place in the league, and pulls down 8 rebounds every night. In the MVP debate right now, George is unquestionably in the top 5. We may safely conclude that George has returned and is here to stay. Paul Clifton George and Paulette George of Palmdale, California are the parents of Anthony George. Teosha, his elder sister, was a Pepperdine University basketball player. Paul George went to Palmdale, California's Knight High School. As a sophomore, he was promoted to the varsity basketball squad and averaged 5.4 points and 3.0 rebounds per game for the Hawks. But George didn't really take off until his senior year. He led Knight to the Golden League title that season with an average of 23.2 points, 11.1 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 3.1 steals, and 1.7 blocks per game. In addition to being selected as a member of the Daily News 2007-2008 All-Area Boys Basketball Team, George was also voted the Antelope Valley Press Player of the Year and the Golden League Most Valuable Player. George's uniform number was changed from 24 to 13 in August 2014. All of his old jerseys were given to Knight High School by him. After joining the Bulldogs in 2008-2009, he began each and every game in which he participated. He and Sylvester CA provided a strong front-court combination for the team as a freshman, averaging 14.3 points and 6.2 rebounds. Despite the team's poor performance, 3-13, George demonstrated his scoring ability with 29 points in a victory over Boise State. As a sophomore, the 6'7" forward assumed leadership of the team's scoring, leading it with 16.8 points and 7.2 rebounds per game. Due to a sprained ankle, he missed 4 games. Nevertheless, he made a comeback and scored a career-high 30 points in a victory over New Mexico State. Fresno State finished 7-9 in the league, and George was selected to the All-WAC second team. The forward declared during the season that he would enter the 2009 NBA draft instead of using his final 2 years of eligibility. The Indiana Pacers selected him with the 10th overall pick. Paul George played with the Indiana Pacers for 7 of his seasons. In 2 Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat, George led the team. Before he was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, he was a legitimate superstar. George will be returning to Indiana for the 2024 All-Star Weekend as a result of his selection as an All-Star this season. Additionally, PG may get back together with the Pacers this offseason, according to a rumor that surfaced just before the festivities in Indianapolis. There have been growing whispers within George's camp regarding a possible partnership with Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, according to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. This summer, George will have the option to join any team he desires as a free agent. The 9-time All-Star, however, appeared to put an end to the rumors when he disclosed that he and the LA Clippers are in talks about a possible contract. It was recently revealed by Paul George that he has been playing with an injury and will do so until the NBA All-Star break in 2024. George suffered a groin injury last January during their game against the Brooklyn Nets. Coach Ty Lue has placed PG on a minutes limit in order to prevent aggravating his injury because the top player for the Los Angeles Clippers chose to play through it. His podcast, Paul George talked candidly about his groin alignment. He said that it had been irritating him, but that doesn't mean he should give up on playing. George discussed his philosophy of giving it his all on the field. Being available for his team is essential as the NBA enters its All-Star break, especially with the playoffs quickly approaching. Paul George is an NBA All-Star for the 9th time in his career. To be honest, we could argue that George would have been invited to 12 straight All-Star games if he hadn't been injured so frequently in past seasons. George has tried his hardest to stay healthy or at the very least be available for the LA Clippers throughout the 2023-24 campaign. Even after sustaining a groin injury last month, PG maintained his flow and produced plays good enough to earn him an All-Star selection this year. George finished with an average of 22.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1.6 steals in 48 games. This season, George has the chance to not only keep his star status, but also cement his career with a prestigious NBA title. He, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook formed a super team, and since then, the Clippers have dominated the Western Conference and are currently in second place. The Clippers looked like an NBA play-in tournament team before they found their rhythm and became an unstoppable squad. Now, they appear to be serious contenders. Paul George isn't the only star on the team based on the current lineup. In addition, after averaging 24.2 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.7 steals per game, Kawhi Leonard was selected for his 6th All-Star team. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comment section below. Spend some time watching other videos on the channel. Until then, bye!